You guys hear me clearing my throat in the background here, huh? Yeah, I'm doing better. Let me get this microphone on here. Oh, you guys hear me? I know the video's not up yet, but let's see if you can hear me before I jump in. If you can let me know in the chat, that'd be great. Awesome. Thank you, Woody. I'm going to lower this music down a little bit here. All right. So you guys are watching right now. You're looking at some prints I'm doing for my wife. Real boring stuff, but I love these little monkey guys. My wife calls them flexi monkeys. She calls them bendies. Actually, I call them flexi monkeys. She calls them bendies. She gives them... you know what? You guys probably want to see me. You don't want to look at these monkeys. I'm going to... This is a dry run, just so you guys know. Hey! There you are. I'm using some new equipment here, and it's part of the reason why being a little bit slow to get production stuff going and whatnot. I've never done this. I've always used OBS. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of a computer thing. I've actually got real production gear here now from Blackmagic and things like that. I just trying to up the game a little bit and make things a little bit better. But this is the first time I've used all this stuff, especially for a live chat. I've also decided in this particular session to not do the overlay on the screen. And the reason for that is you guys are kind of the core viewers, the people that watch all the time, the guys that and gals that are always there, and you guys like to chat and whatnot, and if people want to read the replay, they can read the replay on the actual sidebar there, but I don't need to put it all on the screen. This way you can see more of what's going on, see more of the back room here and all that stuff. So anyways, yeah, so apologies in advance if video is not perfect. I'm working on things. For instance, this right here, this is a new lens. It's super wide. It has bokeh on the side, a little blurring here, kind of that nice presentation feel. I bought this lens specifically for this type of thing, as well as when I do my intros and my outros to the videos. If I'm clearing my voice every once in a while, I also apologize for that. Part of getting over that cold. You guys still hear me okay? Everything looking okay to this point? Mark, Renee, Woody, just let me know. A little bit of an energy drink here. I spent the morning at basketball for my daughter, and son's basketball right now, looking good. All right, says Mark, audio is hot. Okay, let's turn it down a little bit. Let's see here. Looking good, looking a tad higher on my thoughts. Yeah, perfect, awesome, thank you for that. My peaking meters on here aren't exactly where I'd like them to be. Let me go down a little bit. Let me know if that goes down too far. How's that right there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that enough, or do I need to come down even further? Is it actually clipping, or is it just loud? I guess is my question. I like loud audio because so many videos and so many YouTube creators, they sound muted. So, okay by me. What are you older? Probably don't hear as well. Just kidding. All right, that sounds good. It was loud. Good for me now. Awesome. All right, better. All right. Anyways, hey, salutations, hellos, and all those things to Nick, Mark Davis, Texie Tech, Chan, let's see here, Woody, Mark Davis, I think I already said you, but there you go. And then everybody else is in here, and for the long-winded explanation as to what this is about. Anyway, so I want to welcome everybody to a live session, and my live sessions are relatively just chill and kind of a chill and chat type of thing. We're not doing anything too special today. I do have, if you're sticking around, I do have some information about the Trident build I'm doing. I actually have some videos recorded, just not edited yet, to put out there, and I apologize. I'm trying to get my hands around that editing thing, trying to do some B-roll stuff, trying to make them more fun to watch, as well as educational. There's only so many people that just want to watch flat on the video of it being built, so I'm trying to retain that with the real-time build of it without all the cuts. So, you know, you got a loaf of bread, it goes in the oven, and then poof, hey, it's a cake, or it's a whole bread something. I want the actual real stuff, but at the same time, I want to make it so it's fun to watch. So I'm working on the editing, bear with me. Yeah, so made myself some notes over here. I got a little laptop over by the side here. So I'll work through it. So how are you guys doing? How's everybody? Is everybody okay? Everybody well? Anybody else dealing with colds this season, flus, other things? I know you guys are all around the country, all around the world, so everybody's a little different. I know our folks, our friends down in Australia, New Zealand, those places are on the southern hemisphere, are experiencing summer, some real scorching heat, while meantime up here in the northern hemisphere, we're getting some winter weather further south than normal. But actually up where I am in Maine, we're having a decent winter. We haven't seen much below 20 degrees, but we're averaging probably in the mid 30s, even probably the higher 30s for the most part, which is warmer than normal. A lot less snow than normal, and I can't complain. All right, I can print as long as Current walks me through the steps. Yeah, I caught your cold too. I was just getting over it. I take no responsibility for anybody catching colds. I do not send viruses out through my videos. Around Christmas, I was sick for a few weeks. Yeah, so when I get colds, I don't know. Some people seem to be like a 2 or 3 day thing. I take 2 or 3 days for my body to ramp up and really get angry about the whole situation. And then I have about a week and a half of just horrible, you know, you get the picture. Then I got about another week or so of it coming down off of it. And right now I'm about another half a week off of that. So I still have some stuff going on up here, but I'm feeling well. I'm not dead tired all the time. So I'm thankful for that. Yeah. Stop breaking your printer. I went September through January. Yes, you did. And hopefully doing much better now, Woody. So, all right. So I've already kind of complained and kind of put out there all things going on with my setup here, and hopefully in the end of it we all experience some better content from it. I hope you guys like this camera view. I'm trying to keep my shop a little bit cleaned up down here. The basement, it's literally a basement, or a corner of the basement. I can't have the whole basement. I have a wife and kids. So yeah. So I got some notes over here. I'm going to jump into those, and I want to talk about kind of a tip of the day type of thing. And that tip of the day is something that I ran into recently. And I'm actually going to jump over here. We're going to cut into that, which you'll be surprised to know is not really a live picture of that, because I had other things going on. What that is a video. So I'm gonna bring this over right here into Orca, which is looking at my device right now, which obviously that was what I was printing earlier. And this is a real simple tip, and it's one of those things where, stop me if you've heard this one before, but two things. All right, number one, never print this many monkeys at the same time. These guys are super cool, by the way. If you want to know where it's on printables, just look up Flexi Monkey. I don't have to tell you guys how to get that. But I've been printing some parts for the Trident, and some of those parts are a little difficult to print for different reasons. And I'm trying to remember which one of these parts it is specifically. It is that guy right here. Okay, so this part right here is a small print, and it's not hugely complicated or anything like that, but this is again a little tip here. If we went to slice this right now, you know, it says 45 minutes to print that. And actually, I don't know why it's saying that. Let me check something real quick. Let me go for my Voron toys, my Voron parts. Discard that. Slice that. All right, 46 minutes. All right. So the difficult thing about this is it has a very long Z protrusion on it. And whenever you have a single Z protrusion that comes up, or any parts that basically take a limited amount of time to print, you can adjust in your print settings your minimum layer times and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and make a suggestion here, and this is kind of a tip of the day. It's really quick, really small, and it's really simple. I mean, if you haven't thought about this, you're going to say, yeah, why not? So, and that is basically, go ahead and duplicate this part. Clone it, duplicate it, depends what software you're using, and make a few of them. You know, make 4, make 5, make 6. Make a few of them. And there's multiple reasons for this. I'll space them out a little bit here. Reason number 1 is the more that you print, the better chances are you're going to have your perfect print. And I'm really aiming towards perfect prints for this printer. I want the part to look gorgeous, and because of that, I've been reprinting things quite frequently and really kind of whittling down exactly what they look like. On top of that, much like I was saying earlier, in terms of your layer times, when you print multiples of an item, not only do you get a spare of them, but it takes more time to print each layer of that item, because not only is it going to print the layer here, it's going to jump over here, it's going to go over here. So it's going to take 4+ times as long to print that layer cycle for these parts. Now, if you're looking to be quick, obviously this isn't a tip for you, but this is a tip to get nice precision prints, get your spare parts in there, and not worry as much about those layer times and having parts that have sags on them or melt points or things like that. Yeah, so I ran into this. I've been printing these parts. I wanted to show it. Actually, let me grab this real quick here and I'll bring it over with me. Jump back over to my other camera here. Let's see here, right there. Yeah, so that was a really quick tip. Yeah, catch back up on this real quick here. Renee, stop breaking computer. Looks great. Hey, Chan. Printed them all off 3 days ago. I just printed that model off 3 days ago. I was finding not having enough time last week really can affect printing. Yeah. Since to see how long it takes. Oh, you want to see how long it takes to print? We can do that, Woody. We can do that. Let's slice it up. Let's see here. We're at 46. So we're at 2 hours and 7 minutes. So 2 hours and 7 minutes to print it as it sits. Yeah. So who was it just printed off the model? Yay. TechZTech. So let's talk about the Trident a little bit. And I don't know if I'm jumping around on my notes or not, but who cares? This is the A drive, which I showed off in the video. It looks something like that. I was trying to be cool, make those little thumbnails that people want to click on. But if you notice, and somebody asked in a comment, was what the gold part was on the print, and that's actually a color change that I did on both the top and the bottom. And when they meet up in the middle, it makes a racing stripe around the unit. And maybe if we have time, I'll show you why I'm doing that. It's kind of fun. But this right here, this cover right here is covering up a channel for wiring, and also gives me a connection point for a stress relief for my CAN bus that's going to go on this particular printer. And what I was finding specifically and on this is that because I do a color change on this cover, where the color was changing, I was getting a bump on it, and I didn't want that bump. So it's only 6 layers. 6? I believe it's 6 layers on that color change, that strip right there. So there wasn't a lot of time. So what I was finding is if I print 4, 5, 6 of them at a time, I guess it's a whole nother thing too. At least one of them is going to be perfect. I mean, like perfect. It's a small part. You're not wasting all the plastic. Time, it's printing. You're doing other things. It's good. But yeah, that's that part right there. Let's see here. Hi, Dad. So that's Haley. Haley's here, everybody. If you want to say hi to Haley, feel free. So, like I was saying, I've been working on the printer. That's the back side of that. Flip that over. So things have been happening in the background. You guys just haven't seen the videos yet for it. I will tell you that I am building this printer duplicate. I think I mentioned in the first video, but in the second video where I actually do the AB drives, I actually build the standard BOM version or the standard STL of that print. and then I go ahead and I do the pin mod version, which is what this is right here. So that's also taking some more time than I want. Again, I apologize. Let's see here. Curious on how if the Trident is going. Let's see. Curious to know if the Trident is going to CAM or if it's going C4. So the Trident. Who's that? IT and Dave, or It and Dave, whatever you prefer. I'll grab the MCU for that. This Trident's actually going to be a standard Raspberry Pi with a Leviathan board, and if you guys don't know a Leviathan board, if you want to see it, let me know in the comments. I'll bring it out. It's an LDO board. It's relatively new. It does have some CAN stuff in it, but I'm going to use some CAN adapters with it. The one thing it doesn't do, I'm going to tell you right now, is it doesn't do sensorless homing. There is no way to do the jumpers to do the sensorless homing on the board, which is a little disappointment, but not huge. I'm not too worried about that. I recently just did a sensorless homing modification and upgrade to the Voron 01 printer I have. It's now a Voron 0.15, I guess. I did the new Stealth Burner Mini on it, and that was way more than I thought it was going to be. But I also did the sensorless homing on it. I didn't change anything else really about it. I didn't change the outside of it. I'm not doing the flip up hatch. Mine actually doesn't run the sides on it at all, so yeah. So yeah, if you want to know more about the Leviathan board, I can go pull it out. If you guys want to see it, just let me know. Let's see here. The other thing I had questions for people is RepRap festivals. I'm considering trying to talk my son into going to a RepRap festival. However, I don't know how many people actually go there that care. So if you have been to one, or if you plan on going to one, I'm interested in knowing which one you're going to. You don't have to tell me in the chat right now. You can send me an email or something. I'm cool with that. Yeah. All right. So no comments. I'm going to jump over to do the other thing I wanted to do in this stream, which is finally put my front vinyl on my door for the Voron 2.4 we built a while back and is now being called a Minion. So I'm going to jump over to the bench. I'm going to start doing that. You guys, if you have questions, anything you guys want to talk about specifically in the chat, go ahead and throw it down. I'm more than happy to answer questions. If you guys get comments, anything like that, about the setup, about what I got going on here, love to hear it. So I'm going to jump over to that. Got the doors already on the bench right here, ready to go. Ready to go. So this is the front of them, and this is my graphic that's going to be going over a good portion of the doors, like so. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to, and I like the double door. I know a lot of people are going to the clickety-clack or the single door. I like having double doors. I don't like having big doors. Having the double door kind of keeps them half and half, which is kind of nice. So, but yeah. Anyways, this should be pretty cool. Let me do this real quick. So I'm going to tape these together real quick, just so I have them exactly where I want them and need them. Roll that down. I can get the top as well. And I'm looking over at the screen from here. I can see my friend Maurice has jumped in, and I think he's done something silly, but let's go take a look real quick. Maurice is here. Awesome. Hey Maurice, nice to see you. You're welcome him in. How cold are you right now, Maurice? Are you as cold as I am? And also, how are those builds going? Those RC builds you're doing? So I want to put this at an angle, something like this. I got this vinyl print from KB3D. Chris over there was nice enough. I sent him the actual graphic, and then in return, a couple dollars or so later, he sent me some vinyl to put on here, and this is actually going to be part of some more stuff we're going to be doing, some upgrades to that printer. We're going to be putting a Nomi on the front of that to give it an eyeball. There's going to be a whole bunch of fun happening when I do that. Basically, you know, red eye when it's hot, green eye when it's cool, and I got some ideas we're going to have to do. But anyways, I think I want to put this on as an angle because this is supposed to look like, you know, it's crazy. Stuff's happening. I'm going to keep it a little bit high on here because I don't want to block my complete view to actually what's printing. And 95% of the time when I'm printing, it's not overly tall. So I'm going to do this right here. And if you guys never applied any vinyl graphics, I strongly suggest you tape them down before you start putting them on, so they don't move and jog as you're doing it. Surface is relatively clean here. I don't have any garbage on it. I gave it a quick clean while it was up on the printer, make sure it's good. Let me see what we got here for comments. Let's see here. Your mic too loud. Interesting. It's only 4 Celsius. That's cold. Need some filament. I have most all the parts. Nice. So can you do Bumblebee graphics for me? Yes, you can. Let me adjust my mic real quick. And it might get louder before it gets softer. I'll warn you. Stand by. All right. Took a 3 dB jump down on that, and let's see how that is. Is that better, Maurice? Everybody was complaining about the mic being too loud in the beginning. Oh, okay. All right. You guys got to complain. Like I said, completely new setup. I have no idea how this is working. Like I said, I'm not using OBS or anything like that. My meters on the side here, I don't think are very accurate. So yeah, cool, perfect. Glad it's 300% better. I would have sold for 200% better. All right, so back over to these graphics real quick. And I know it's upside down for you guys, but it's got to be upside down for one of us, and unfortunately, not going to be me. So I'm going to take and peel this edge off. The music has seemingly gone to like a 1940s swing here. And what you do is half fold underneath like that. I'm going to try to straighten this out best I can. And I just really want to get the very edge of this on. Like so. Just going to put that down like that. Giving it little tap taps. All right. So now that I have that, I'm going to come underneath. I'm going to grab, and I should have a little rag with me, but I'm going to grab a paper towel real quick because, as always, I'm hugely prepared. I'm going to stand up as I'm doing this too. So I'm going to actually wipe as I go. This is not much different than when you apply like a, get back on there you. When you apply a, actually we don't need this anymore. Now we have one corner on. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. You put a cell phone screen protector on or something like that. So I'm going to take this now, and I'm going to wipe this back and forth slowly as I pull this back. And what I'm trying to do here, this would be the how to put graphics on video, which is very similar to the how to put a magnet on a bed video. But I'm going to wipe this back and forth as I'm doing this, and try to basically stop there from being any type of air bubbles or gaps or wrinkles or any of that stuff in there, because it's going to look like garbage if there is. And we're all perfectionists, right, Renee? We're all perfectionists. Actually, right, Woody? I know Woody's a perfectionist. So there we go. All right, so that's across like that. It is 1000% flat because that's a thing, right? Renee gave me $5. You missed my question. when you slice it and it says 2 hours, do you speed it up after the first layer, just let it go? All right, question for you, Renee. Is that a joke or are you being serious? So Renee and I talk quite a bit on the Discord, and I make fun of him sometimes. OCD to the max, says Woody. If it ain't perfect, throw it away and start over, Renee says. I know that's not the case because you would have thrown a lot of stuff away. All right, so different view of the same graphic. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove my tape here. And if you're wondering why I did this in the beginning, is I want to make sure my graphic was lined up perfectly across the doors, because obviously with these 2 doors, I'm going to have to cut this graphic. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Like that. Pull this side up. Like so. And then I'm going to follow the seam between the 2 parts. And I'm going to cut this off right here on this side real rough, just so I can get this lifted a little bit. There we go. Perfect. All right, you can cut this one off on this side as well. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. And then we're going to switch camera views. And I'm going to trim this guy up a little bit here. That. See what the chat's saying here. What are you guys up to over here? Let's see. Let's see here. You got to guide Renee. I agree with that. How do you guys all know Renee? I mean, do you guys actually know the guy? Because you're hitting him right on the head, nail on the head. Mark and Renee usually speed up and print and the others. I think the gain might still be a hair too high. It's clipping from time to time. Okay. Let me try going down just a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's try that. Oh, he's my cousin. Oh man, don't tell me that. Man, don't tell me that. Now I'm gonna have to. Now, oh man, there's so much pain now. So much pain. So many things I want to say. He's your cousin. Why are you doing this to me? Oh man. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I don't want to offend anybody. Alright, so basically we're just using the edge of the plastic here to trim this up. And I've been wanting to do this, but I wanted to do it on a live stream because I know a lot of people like to do modifications. Don't make it hard on yourself. If you got things that can help you in the real world, in terms of where you're going to cut things and whatnot, use them. Don't try to be precise. Precision is great, but if you have cheats, ways of doing it without having to make it hard on yourself, take those options. You know? I think... yeah, that's pretty close right there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, how's that look? Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. What do you guys think? So that's going to be on the printer next time you guys see that printer. As long as the Disney company doesn't nab me or whatever the company that owns the rights to that thing. Yeah. All right. Wanted to put that on there, but wanted to do it on video though. Kind of fun stuff. All right, what are you guys up to? Double teaming Kerm. Yeah, I can't say what I want. I don't want to shame him. We're all friends. Mark, I just wonder what others do because I have feelings. Okay, I'll actually answer. I thought you were messing with me, Renee. Question: who is the minion? You or? Good question. The stealth burner. I don't know if you're here, Maurice, but I'm actually going to be putting a Nomi LCD screen on the stealth burner in this particular printer, which already is colored like a minion. And Woody's the one that pointed out when I was first building this a long time ago. But if I throw that Nomi in there and I put an eyeball on that, it's a minion. It looks just like a minion. So yeah. Now you know if your doors are straight. My doors are always straight. My doors were perfectly aligned every single time. So anyways, Renee. All right, so let's jump back over to Orca. Let's answer your question. Your question. All right. Here's my suggestion. No one, I repeat, no one, unless you're doing some experimentation, should be playing with speed factor or extrusion factor on the actual mainsail or fluid, wherever your GUI is for your printer. These right here are for minor adjustments when you're printing if you need to change something during print. If you want your printer to print faster when you're printing, do it when you're slicing. So under speed, you have first layer, infills, all these first things. Basically your first layer speeds. Reduce these to a reasonable speed. I keep mine around 60 when I'm doing my Voron parts. And then for a reasonable amount of layers, 3, 1 or 2 you can probably get away with. 3 is definitely more than enough, I believe. And then have your printer speed up from there. The problem with manually increasing your speed on your device right here is you're bypassing a lot of the things that you can do in here in terms of, changing speeds. And here's a for instance. My outer walls and my inner walls, I print at the same speed, and I do that because if you print one at a slower or lower speed than the other, in other words, if you do the outer wall at a slower speed than your inner wall, the chance that your inner wall will basically, not be to the same spec as your outer wall, which can cause some bumps and bruises on that outer wall. Not bumps and bruises, but bumps. I like to keep them as close as possible as on that. Now, sparse infill, 400 millimeters. That doesn't need to be so precise. Solid infill, again. Top surface, I definitely want precise. So if I increase the speed factor here, I'm increasing all these numbers. And I may not want to increase my top surface. I might want good top surfaces, but if I take that and change that on the printer, and I change it to say 200%, I'm now making this 200. I probably would have been a lot better off changing this right here to 500 and this right here to 700 or 800 and leaving this top surface at 100. That's part of the print tuning. If you're constantly changing your device print speeds on the device while you're printing, you probably should look at your slicing profile. The other thing that worries me when you change those items is inside of your filament information, you have your maximum volumetric speed, which is right here. And once you basically go into your device and you increase those speeds, it does not increase these volumetric speeds. So you could have times where your printer is trying to print much higher than you're actually able to put out, which isn't going to be good. The other issues are on your cooling, for instance. You may have layer times that have minimum times on them if you've set up your slicer properly. And changing that speed is not going to change anything. These are all things that you can tune to precision or near perfection, I should say. but just increasing the overall speed of the whole printer isn't going to give you anything but slightly faster prints in general when you do that. Now, if you got total junk prints that you're just printing for fun, make another profile. Come right over here, grab your profile, whatever profile it is, like say my Voron Toys profile, and maybe I leave my first layer at 60. I change this right here to 1. I put my outer walls right here to 500. My inner walls to 500. And my sparse infill, move that to 500. And we'll change this to 500. And top surface, we still want to look halfway decent, so we'll do that. We'll leave gaps at 150, support at 150. And the reason why your supports, it's a whole nother thing too, the reason why you want supports to be slower is you want those to solidify so they're not sticking to your layers if you're using supports. That's why supports usually printed a little bit slower. You know, you might think to yourself they don't need to be precise because they're supports, but your supports need to be cooled you know, as much as possible before the next print goes on top, or else it may stick to that print. You can also play your accelerations, your travel speeds, and all those types of things. I keep mine relatively tame because I want my prints to look really good. So I could take this now with these increased numbers, which are approximately 200%-ish, or 180% we'll say. And I just come here and I hit save, you know, and then I just call it Toys Fast. Or you know what, we'll call it Toys Rene. Those are our Rene toys. You can do the same thing up here with your filament if you really want to. You can come through and change these. And if you were going to start playing with that some, one of the things I would consider if you were going to increase the speed that you're printing, I would possibly try or consider increasing your, probably not your first layer, but your sequential other layers after that. So right now I have this set to a max of 270. If I was going for speed, I might set this max up to 275, maybe even 280. And then on my layers, I would also increase that substantially, probably to 270 or maybe 275. I always try to, you know, obviously you got to stay underneath your max, but I always try to stay, you know, a good amount underneath that max. But all those things come into play when you're printing things. So yeah, we'll leave that one in there. That will be my Voron Toys Rene speed. And when I print things and it's for Rene or testing things with Rene or something like that, we'll print them right there at that speed and see what they look like. All right. Navigate door straight, building. I gotta go. Just can't say hi for a second. Maurice, nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Must be late in the evening. What are you guys, around 8, 9 o'clock at night? Let's see here. Let's see. Now he's going to print Little Green Army Men. Yes, I know. He's going to print them quick too, and they're all going to look. Let's see here. We got to be PC. If you print them really quick, his little army men are going to look challenged. Actually, maybe they look like Rene. Oh man. That's all I'm trying to do, is what's the maximum efficient speed I can use. So I need a tuning video. Yes, you probably do need a tuning video. Rene's speed is slow. He's challenged. Ah, man. Yeah. This is a PG or G video stream, so watch out. All right. We can talk about that, Rene, and if other people are interested in that, leave comments. I'll get into that. The thing is about printing and doing tuning videos. I just watched, what was it, Modbot just put one out today or yesterday about tuning, and I haven't put one out yet because every time I think about it, it's near impossible to put a tuning video out because everybody has slightly different things going on. And you can go through the basics, but the basics aren't what people want. People want to fine tune and have their printer, you know, at its maximum. And with a limited amount of time in a video, you know, a 20-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute, 1-hour video, you just can't instill enough information there to get somebody to that point. You know, I dare say you're looking at, just in doing research and excuse me, studying and finding out how things work, you know, you could be looking at dozens of hours before you can start to work towards that. And every printer is going to be slightly different, just like your input shaper. You know, input shaper has a multitude of different settings you can put into it in order to minimize the amount of ghosting and things you have into it, but it's not a one size fits all. So yeah. All right, so what do I have now? So I was going to talk a little bit about things. You know, it's January, beginning of the year, and I got some wishful thinking stuff I want to talk about. Maybe some things I'd like to see. I'm interested in what you guys want to see in 2025 when it comes to 3D printing. But I'm going to tell you some things I think may happen, some things I'd like to see. And first, top of that list was better kits. Better kits for beginners, better information out there. It's more consistent. If anybody that's a manufacturer ever watches this video, LDO, talking to you again, it would be really nice if you build or create a manual to go with your kit. Yes, I know that the Voron team has a manual, but you're not following it. You're creating a kit that is similar to a Voron printer based on their BOM, but is not their BOM. And the manuals that are put out by the Voron team are great, they're outstanding, but this is a non-paid, non-income producing thing, and there's only so much time that's put into it. Even the manuals for the BOM, when you're building a BOM, are a little bit limited. They do get more information as time goes on, but they're not perfect. So when LDO comes along and they put out a kit that doesn't use the exact same parts, and then they then they expect you to go to their website, to a GitHub, and see all the changes that they make, and then go back and forth. It's too confusing for the average person to do. And so I'd like to see better kits. I'm pretty much sure everybody across the board likes to see better kits. I will say this, I do think some of the online retailers, the e-tailers, hold on a second here. Not 100%. Like KB3D, maybe Fabrico and some other ones. I do see them coming out with kits that are probably a little bit better. Maybe using more of the actual BOM parts and things like that. So I'm wishful of that. Another thing I'd like to see more come out of is metal printing in general. You know, maybe some metals that don't require such high temperatures that we can start to play with. We got hot ends now that can hit upwards of 400, 500 degrees Celsius. I think we're getting close. I think it might be a little dangerous. It might not be for everybody. Maybe more for a prosumer or slightly industrial commercial thing. But I'd like to see those come down to a point where people could buy one if they wanted one, if they needed one. I'd like to see more happening with the multicolor printing. In terms of what I see right now, there's a lot of stuff out there. None of it is really fine-tuned as much as I'd like to see. I would like to see a better than the Enrage Rabbit Carrot Extruder. I don't know. Some people are trying to get me to build that for time now, and I've never seen one that was built and that was tuned to working perfectly, and then somebody come back to it 6 months from now and talk about how much they've enjoyed playing with it and working with it and how well it works. Anytime I don't see anything that happens long term or doesn't stick around long term, it always concerns me. I pay for everything, or for nearly everything I put together and I build or whatever and do videos for. So throwing money at something I'm not sure is going to work isn't something I want to do. I'd like to see smarter slicers. So when I say smarter slicers, I mean slicers that we can put items into and they can better predict what they need for settings. You know, maybe there's a small drop down radio button, something like that. But say for instance, you're printing printer parts. You know, you put that part in there. It doesn't need any type of support. Slicers kind of know that now. But maybe basically you tell it you want a very strong part, and maybe, you know, there's some other things that we can do in there in terms of, you know, how it does that. Maybe different types of infill depending on where that part is. Solid infill, you know, and I'm saying this automatically. I know we can do things to modify prints, but have it doing it automatically so that it can look at a part, look at a 90-degree part, for instance, and say, okay, at that part, let's do solid infill for 3 layers below and 3 layers above. So that's a really solid part right there. After that, let's do, you know, up from there. I think we'll get the slicers at some point that have that AI in them. I don't consider that to really be AI, but people are going to call it that. But I'd really like to start seeing that. Let's see here. Automatic calibration. So I like to start seeing more being done in Klipper and other printers where calibration is a little bit more automatic when it comes to filaments as well as the printer themselves. I'd like to be able to do more like what Prusa has done and Bamboo without the closed sourceness of it. In other words, having printers that are smart enough to know that when they call on 20 millimeters of filament, to know whether or not 20 millimeters have gone by. You know, whether that's measurement by the stress on the stepper, you know, how many amps it's taking, or it's done via camera or something like that. I'd like to start seeing stuff like that. Same thing goes with, you know, issues on printers. Most of the issues that we see on printers these days in terms of final prints are minor things that just get replicated throughout the whole print or get blown up. I have a friend right now that's tearing down his gantry and squaring his whole frame because he's off by 2 millimeters on his frame and his gantry wasn't dead nuts on. I will tell you right now that we're human beings. We're not perfect. If you think your printer isn't perfect and you're willing to spend a little time, try it, see where you're at, make modifications from there, because no matter how much you try to make it perfect, there's always going to be some type of inconsistency there. But do learn, do remember what those are, and work off of that. Finally, doing an open call, and there's not a ton of us on here right now, but I need people to give me their input, send me some emails on what you guys want to see for videos outside of builds. I can only do so many builds, but and don't tell me that you specifically just want me to do a filament tuning guide or anything like that. I need some specifics as to what people want. I need you guys to help me grow the audience and make this thing bigger so I can continue to make better videos, have better gear, and do better things. And I'm calling you guys to help me out to do that. Really is what it comes down to. And you guys are so quiet right now. I need the chat. All right. I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. It wasn't a ton. It's a 45-minute, 1-hour video. Renee, thanks for the $5, man. I appreciate it. We'll take off 1 beer from your tab that you owe me, and we'll actually, depending on what kind of beer you drink, that might be 3. Oh man. By the way, I'm really surprised anybody would admit to be your cousin. Now I can make fun of 2 people. That's cool. So, all right. No one's talking. Oh, what do we got? I need to learn how to read tuning prints like M squares. Enjoying your Orca stream. Enjoyed your Orca stream, yeah. Reading tuning prints. When you're talking about that, you're talking about when you print out the things, how to kind of see what's going on with them, I assume. I always keep, because I'm always tuning. That's the thing too. You got to realize that when you're tuning, you're not done tuning. You're always going to be tuning because things are going to change on your printer. Your filaments change, your printer wears, your nozzle gets a little bit bigger as time goes on. But what I do is, whenever I do a tuning session, I always keep the part with numbers on them, and these help me basically see what they were doing. So I can come back to it, like say right here, which one? This 0.95 was deemed to be the best one. But say I come back 6 months from now and I do one of these tuning prints and my print looks like what this 0.93 is, I can then roughly say, okay, so 0.93 to 0.95 is what I did during that time period. So let me go, even though I'm at 0.95 now, let me go to 0.97 and see if I make that same change to go from here to this again. So, but yeah, it's not very intuitive. I'll give you guys that. Extrusion multiplier. You guys want to know more about Orca? I mean, I don't know how many people actually use Orca. That's the other thing that's difficult when you're making this content, is knowing, because there's so many ways, there's so many different type of printers, so many different slicers, so many things that people do in printers. You never know what people are looking for. You know, if a lot of people are using Orca, great. A lot of people use Super Slicer. And a lot of these slicers are pretty similar, but just slightly different names on things. It's good to know what people are doing. So by all means, I appreciate emails and things like that to tell me what you guys are looking for, and comments are awesome as well. Need to clipperize my desk. The one thing I think most people overlook is regular maintenance on the belts and linear rails. I agree with that. One thing about belts I'll say is belts are kind of interesting, because when you first build your printer, you set your belts up, you get it tuned out and whatnot. Within the next, depending on how much you print, of course, but within the next 4 to 6 months is when you're going to have the most change in your belts, until you get into actually wearing them long term. You're probably going to want to tighten up your belts within the first 200 to 500 hours of printing, because they're going to loosen up a little bit. Once you do that, from my experience, is you can go a long time before those belts need too much more. I'm just going to watch, whether or not there's some rub on those, or the plastic's coming out of them, or something like that, or the rubber, or the braiding in them, or anything like that. If you see anything like that, obviously you got bigger issues. In terms of the rails, so rails are also a funny thing, because there's again, it's one of those things, there's so many ways you can do things. So with linear rails, you can use your Mobilux, which is a really thick lubricant, and you can get a long time out of it, but your rails are going to have a lot more drag on them, which isn't a bad thing. It all depends on whether you're going for speed or precision. That being said, if you use something really thin, like way back when, they used to use sewing machine oil on their rails. Very, very thin, not a lot of drag, things can move really quickly and whatnot, but you had to put it on almost every single time when you printed. So I've played around with some lubrication. I've now decided just to go with the Mobilux on everything. I used to do Mobilux on the Z axis on my Voron printers, and then on my X and Y, I would go with a thinner oil. Actually, what was I using? I was using, where is it? It wasn't a PTFE. I think I was using maybe a lithium grease. I've got, you guys would be amazed by how much stuff I have around here. I have all these different greases I've played with and tried, and I got all this information, but I gotta know you guys want to know it. But anyways, I think I was using white lithium grease on my X and Ys for a time period to try to basically get maximum speed out of those. But in the long run, it doesn't make that much of a difference. And anything that's thinner than the Mobilux is going to run out quicker, especially if you have a heated chamber. When I say that, it could be just your bed heating it up. So yeah, I just started using Orca coming from Super Slicer. It's a hit or miss, success with ABS, not so much with PLA. Look at your settings here. I mean, there shouldn't be that much of a difference between Super Slicer and Orca. I'm pretty interested in knowing what your issues are in terms of what you're seeing between the two. Might not be the right venue here. Again, email, comments in the actual stream and the down below, I guess, at the end of this. But interested in that, because if you transfer all your settings over for your PLAs and everything else like that from Super Slicer to Orca, they should be good. Sometimes we make other changes we're not familiar with. I'm not saying that's your case, but if you've changed printers as well, or something else has changed majorly, new hot end or something, could be part of it. May I ask what causes layer shift? What doesn't cause layer shift is a better question. Layer shift, for the most part, is either going to be a mechanical issue with your printer itself, meaning you can either have a grub screw that's loose on your AB drive, or a belt that's slipping, maybe riding up on the shoulder of one of your bearings if you have a Voron printer. Another thing that can happen is if you're not watching the printer, often layer shift happens when the printer nozzle hits something and then basically gets jammed up, and then when it comes back to the second layer, it's off by that amount that it was shifted over by. I've seen layer shift caused by under extrusion, where basically the extruded layer comes up a little bit and then over time that builds up and the nozzle catches it and causes it. I've seen it from over extrusion, where your nozzle gets pinned down a little bit, or pinned down up into it, and then causes it to drag. I've also seen layer shift where the belts on a Core XY on the A or the B ride up on the drives, on the drive pulleys on them, because you didn't readjust them after you put together the printer and make sure they were in line with where they actually want to flow. And only when it was doing large single direction moves, like if you were printing, say, a 250 by, whatever, and that motion basically was doing a large motion like this, one move and then stop when it gets to the layer jump. When it gets to about here, it's been moving in that same direction that pretty much the whole time, and that gives it enough time to ride up on that pulley a little bit, and every time you get that, it shoots the layer over a little bit. Outside of that, if they're minor layer shifts, you might be looking at extrusion issues with your extruder, where your actual extrusion widths are different between your prints. So layer shifts usually mean pretty major, pretty ugly. Extrusion width issues tend to be things that you see under light conditions, and they're not possible to get rid of 100%. If I put a harsh light on this, harsher than I have here right now, and you look across it, and these are really good prints. Pat myself on the back a little bit there, but no matter how good a print is, with the right light, it will look bad. So don't cause yourself grief that you don't need. Let's see here. Super Solo. What are your thoughts about KLX Lab lightweight Voron 2 aluminum parts kit? Is that new? Lightweight aluminum parts kit? Let me give me a second here. Let me look that up. CNC Labs. Let's see here. Chaotic Lab. Sorry. Actually, let's yeah. Chaotic Lab. Let me look that up because I'm not familiar with a lightweight CNC kit. I mean, they all are lightweight, but let's see. 2.4 CNC parts kit, X-axis kit. Let's see, carbon fiber. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by their lightweight kit. If you're speaking about their aluminum kit, a lot of people have said a lot of bad things about Chaotic Labs. I'm not one of them. I think one of their challenges is, and actually it's a challenge with the industry, with Voron printers in particular, is a lot of people will buy aluminum parts or pre-made or pre-manufactured parts because they're having issue with their printed parts, which aren't necessarily caused or aren't really the issue that they're having. You can have some pretty ugly parts on your printer and have it work pretty well. If you want to go back and look at some RepRap printers from 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they're not pretty to look at, but they work pretty well. So in terms of aluminum parts, I think some parts or most parts it would be fine to go that way. There used to be a lot of people, and I've changed my mind over time, that used to say that you need some flex or some flexibility in a lot of the Voron parts because it's designed to be that way. The newest Voron printer, the 24, all aluminum parts on that. I think the real reason for not having aluminum parts originally on the Voron printer was production and cost to do so. But some of these companies have been stepping up, and this is kind of blown up. There's a lot more of them out there, so they're able to do it. I have in my possession right now, what do I have? I have somewheres. Yeah, right here. I have the Chaotic Lab Z-axis tensioners. I have the tool-free XYs. And I have a small stash of taps. And I have taps actually, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different versions of taps. Taps are one of those things that I think is a great part. I really do. I don't think I would build a Voron printer right now without using a tap if it was an option, without going too far out of whack. But those are parts I definitely think should be made out of a more robust material like aluminum. The rest of the printer, you know what? If you want to buy the parts out of aluminum, go for it. I think $400 is kind of expensive, looking right now at it. But it all depends what you want to do. I think if you're building your first printer, I would just tell you to stick with BOM materials, BOM parts. Use Print It Forward. It's much more viable than it used to be in terms of how many people are doing it. What about gun oil? It's a little too thin. Unless it's Cosmoline. You could use Cosmoline if you wanted to. if you're packing that up for a while. Layer shift when I didn't have belts routed correctly. Yep. It would print perfect about 3 or 4th layer, and that was big ugly shift as well. Yep. I just did my sensorless homing on my CAN bus. First time my V0 switching to a 2.4 now. Well, I got everything working. It took a lot of research. Yeah. So you guys can kind of see it. My Voron Zero over here, I recently just upgraded it. I know it's dark over here. I don't have the lights on. But that's now running a sensorless homing on it. And it's working pretty well. I did spend quite a bit of time fine-tuning the surface hits so they didn't clunk. And I found, I think it was the X that was a little bit more difficult because once I got to a point where it didn't hit the surface hard, it would sometimes not make it all the way back, which is kind of a pain. So I went a little bit more than a little bit less to make that work the way I wanted it to. But it's working pretty well. I have no issues with it. Reliability wise, I still, in my gut, it hurts a little bit to think that we're basically causing stress to a part to be able to tell whether that part has reached the end limit, meaning that the stepper is basically crying, maybe not crying, but it's basically saying ouch, and that's when the printer says, oh, we're there. But a lot of people do it, a lot of people use it. Maybe that's better than a switch. I think switches work well too. I think you know, Hall effects, switches, more than one way to skin a cat. If you were building a printer for the first time, I'd keep it simple. Simple switch is all you need. They're easy to fix, they're easy to repair. If you want to start playing with it after you do that, then I probably wouldn't do the Hall effect thing. I'd probably skip over to it and go with sensorless homing as long as your MCU supported that. I had a total layer shift as part of printing 6 of the piece. Yeah, you probably caught one of the pieces. Were you keeping an eye on it, would be my question. Not that I expect everybody to keep an eye on everything, but I would suspect that you caught something on the printer bed and it pulled you over. Love to see a video about flashing firmware with initial setup of CAN. I'm going to be doing that because on the Trident we're using CAN, so that's going to be part of the build series for this. Try not to say so much too. I'm doing a horrible job. The Trident is going to be a CAN bus printer, and I'm a little bit torn because I want to try to do a video where I do the basic or the bomb so people that are building their first printer can follow along. The more I think about it, CAN actually makes things a little bit easier for the build, but I can't separate from the thought that if there's an issue with the build, that CAN complicates, you know, getting it to work properly. But I'll work through it. We'll figure it out. I'll have it. Let's see here. It's making some land. I think it's just some marketing lingo. What's marketing lingo? Oh, the lightweight part that you guys saying? Marketing lingo? Yeah, I would agree with that. The CNC tap from Chaotic Labs is lighter than any other tap that I've used. But that's simply because they're using a thinner rail inside of it, linear rail. They're using MGN7 versus the 9. And that has its positives and negatives as well. The ones that I've played with have properly spaced bearings and channels, so there isn't a lot of play in them. I know some people have had different experiences with those, and I've bought from Chaotic Labs and from Amazon, and I haven't had those issues. But yeah, everybody's a little bit different. Let's see here. Slightly different things to wiring here. What's up, Design Lab 3D? What's up with you? See, maybe I like have a sale. Oh, sale. Renee, market that too. Hopefully, current or future build. Yeah, I wasn't gonna call you out on that. We already talked about you and your deficiencies. Easy, Renee. All right, guys. It's been a ton of fun. I just want to do something live because I'm having so much trouble editing video. If anybody out there is a proficient DaVinci Resolve video editor, give me a call, send me an email. something like that, because it's another one of those hobbies I'm trying to teach myself. Oh, so Renee is building an arcade machine, and I've built a couple of them. And a side gig project thing I have going on is building a video pinball machine. And I'm wondering if I should make videos when I do that as well. I've been getting parts right now. It's probably going to be a month or two before I get to that. And I will get the Trident printer built first, but didn't know if anybody was interested in that video type stuff, because I'm either going to not do videos for it, do videos for it and put it on this channel, or make a separate channel to put them on. One of the worst things you can do sometimes, that people say, is switch up your content and put content that doesn't relate specifically to your niche market. You guys are my niche market. So let me know what you think about that. Nice to meet you, sir. You as well. Please don't call me sir. As Renee would say. Anyways, so last out of last, for one last time, I appreciate you guys all coming. Appreciate you, Renee, for being around. Woody, and everybody that's on here. If you're not on the Discord, send me an email. My email information is on my page. I do not put my Discord information out over videos. But if you're watching this and you're listening to this and you're interested in being part of our Discord, by all means, get a hold of me. I'll get you an invite. I don't want it to be a chat session or anything like that. Discord's for help on my Discord in particular. I don't want it to be a mess, so that's why I do it that way. But the people that are on there right now ask questions, and for the most part, they get some type of answer, and it works out well. There's not a bunch of chit-chat. It's not as confusing as some of the other places you can go. Have a great day, evening, everyone. Yeah. Nice. All right. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. It's 2:37 up here on the East Coast in the United States. You've been listening to WFROG, and we're signing off. See you later.